In the UK, we still have some 45, maybe more, % of domestic properties without a meter. Water is becoming more and more scarce. The main objectives for most of the water utilities in the UK we've been speaking to are to reduce the leakage and the loss. I think it's crazy that sometimes 40% of the water is lost because of leakage, and we don't even know where it goes. Our market and our customers are changing. Whether they want to or not, they must change. This isn't just about technology. This is all about how do you set it up for the future so it's sustainable. Today, the objective is to find out what are the options, what are the ideas, what are the responsibilities, and how are you going to finance it?
So Northumbrian Water have got a really ambitious strategy in the next AMP in relation to smart metering. We're looking to go to a total smart meter solution. So that involves the installation of around 475,000 smart meters in our combined areas.
At the moment, we're running a couple of pilots, and we're really looking at the concept of smart metering.
So we have already started a smart network trial. We've got 2,000 meters in the ground. That's really exciting. Our focus is on leakage at the moment and how all of a huge collaboration of partnerships can bring real leakage benefits.
We've done beyond proof of concept trials. Now we've actually sought to quantify the benefits, I should say. And on the back of that, we are planning to roll out smart meters to the whole of our region by 2030.
The digital revolution is also coming for water and gas utilities as well, but really it's about data. It's just a smarter way of saying we need a network of data, we need a network of sensors providing us better visibility of the network. People have to talk about total cost of ownership. Again, it's for every £1 spent on metering, another £1 is spent on the provision cost, the operational cost and data management costs. So it's really important to consider everything and make sure the application drives the solution and not the other way around.
And if we can supplement that DMA data with smart metering data, we might begin to know where the water goes, which would be kind of nice for a water company.
I might have some smart type data, but how do I play it from a customer perspective? Today for me was very much about helping to piece together the customer proposition with what is essentially smart network data and the potential opportunity that brings. We're all at the really early part of that stages, so I'm not expecting any answers, but that for me is the way forward.
So 9 minutes, this is the number we always start with. It's 9 minutes is the amount of time customers think about water and energy per year. So that's the attention that you have at the moment from the customer.
When it comes to customer engagement and using that data to engage consumer, I still see that there's a lot of education and awareness to do around that. And I think this even is a great type of vehicle to continue that awareness and education to people.
What they care about is insight. Transform me that data and make something out of that data that I can understand and leverage to change my behaviors or act.
So we don't really need a lot of bandwidth. The main things are enough to be able to feed the data back, enough such that you've got a good battery life, so devices that last 10, 15 years perhaps, and also you want it to be cost effective.
So the reason why I've come is to understand where the industry is heading in terms of smart metering, what sort of support and help I can get from various other suppliers and how smart metering is going to take off.
I'm just interested in finding out what other water companies' approaches are to this. It's a big conversation that's going on in the industry at the minute.
Really is to get further insight into the utilities industry. We already do a lot of work in the water sector. and it's really understanding what the future is, especially the smart metering, of course, and looking at where these new future opportunities are going to have an impact.
I think the one thing that I've taken away from today's event has been how readily willing the utilities are to do pilots in their areas of genuine interest.
No, it isn't my first event with Ad Strategy. I attended a smart network sprint a few months ago, which was over 2 or 3 days, and that was really interesting. I really enjoyed working with Ad Strategy. We're doing quite a lot of work around innovation with them, and yeah, it's going really well.
When you get people talking together, you get additional insight about the nature of the problem, how to tackle it, and how we all move forward together.
And for the whole of our business plan, collaboration and partnership's key. Recognition and step change for South East Water is that we can't do it all ourselves. And actually the sum of the parts is greater.
It's absolutely vital. Because we're entering a world now where water companies will have to operate outside of their comfort zone. For example, communications networks. We're a water company. We are not experts in communications, and we certainly don't want to have to run a communications network.
You believe that there's a lot of innovation, there's a lot of foresight going on, and I was quite surprised that there's a lot of hearing from a lot of water companies that the smart metering process is still at a very early stage.
Knowing that people were aspirationally wanted to be more transformative, but had a boatload of hurdles in the way, was very interesting, and where we kind of thought they would be. But it was surprising how many people had so much transformative aspiration, and how I think most people were in the middle ground. But yet no one could quite agree on how much they wanted to change and what the barriers were. So the debate was extremely interesting.
Each water utility has a very different need and potentially a very different strategy. Again, and still, and it's not just geographical, it also depends on the money, but on the appetite for change.
The UK, in one sense, is probably the most complex and challenging global market for water to understand how to kind of fit the AMP cycles, how to use the ODIs to drive a better investment, that kind of thing. Actually, we could look at the other way and say that we have an opportunity in this market like no other to actually put additional ROI in for these systems if we set it up in the right way.
And that's the first thing that you can measure, ladies and gents, is just how much is being lost on the customer side. And once you've measured it, you can do something about it. You can target those customers who have this sort of problem. And it does get results. Once you've done that and you start to be able to have this dialogue with a community, as we found in Newmarket, you can then engage on what I think is the longer term and probably most difficult and perhaps most profitable area, and that is changing people's habits.